This question made me laugh because I was like, Anna should be banned from reading this question because y'all, this is Anna. She's like, I read it. And I'm like, ma'am, no.
Welcome to the Book Angle, where we talk about books from different angles and sometimes go in circles. I'm Anna, and this is Sabrina. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of an informal Q&A. We asked for people to submit questions to us over on Instagram. So I'm going to go through those questions, and we're just going to answer them. And that's it. It's just going to be...
Thank you to everyone who submitted those questions to us. We were really excited to hear more from you. Our channel is growing and we were just like, wow, look, we did it. This is our way of celebrating that we have met some of the milestones that we set on social media, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay, so first question, what genre do you have no interest in reading, if any? Mine is anything that isn't fantasy. This is from Cheryl Riley.
Oh, I feel like, oh, I don't know. I don't feel like that's fair because if I get a really good book recommendation, I would read it if it's from someone I trust. I don't know if I can say that I would never read it. I struggle with certain nonfiction books, but even then, I think it could be written well. Maybe erotica. I don't think I'd read erotica. That's my answer.
um, that's really hard for me because I literally read an erotica novel for the first time last year, so I can't say that
And you gave
because
it a
I gave
five,
it a 5. It was unhinged. It's 70 pages.
and it was
And
unhinged.
it was unhinged. It was hilarious. I did have to give it 5 stars. So, I think that the topic that I'm least interested in reading is actually historical nonfiction. Um,
Yeah, that's sad.
I'm not.
That's
I
sad.
Historical fiction is different than historical nonfiction for me. I think historical nonfiction
Mhm.
can be interesting. I just have not found anything that doesn't make me sleepy.
I don't
Like,
think I get sleepy. Sometimes it's just sad
yeah,
because history is dark, and I don't want to. I think it's important to learn history, but that's not how I'm going to spend my free time.
right. I think documentaries, if I'm going to learn something about history, I love documentaries. So that's kind of a different, but reading about it for some reason just
Yeah.
doesn't, maybe I just haven't found the right thing. But that's, yeah, I have no interest in reading historical nonfiction. Nonfiction as a whole, I'm open to, like, that's too broad of a subject to say no to. It's not my pick, but fantasy is always going to be my pick, but
I have an answer.
okay.
It's basically still erotica. I just had to think about it. I those romance novels where the dude has the long hair and he's not wearing a shirt and it's like
Like,
I'm not
yeah, like
I'm
the
not
books
gonna
at the
read it.
Dollar General that are like,
Yeah, it's just
like,
not gonna
by the,
happen.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
no. Okay.
Um, okay.
Think Cheryl. I
This
think that
one
was the
is
name.
from Efron's. Name a book
Efrons.
that at first you did not finish, but years later picked it up and ended up liking it. I've been thinking about this. I read this question a couple days ago when we first got it, and I have been
Yeah,
thinking about this, and I genuinely can't think of anything
that I picked up again.
yeah, that's the that's the kicker. Is if I did not like it enough to just put it down, I don't think I ever pick it back up.
I think for me, it had to have been a classic or something that I was forced to read in school. And I was like, I'm not reading it. It's boring. And I schmooped it. And then maybe I picked it up and read it again. Um, my friend Jessica is gonna be like, no way, you told me not to read it. But maybe Fahrenheit 451, because I know I didn't read it in school. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was a bad English major who probably cheated. But when I read it again, I ended up enjoying it, but I had to teach it. So it was like, I mean, it was a good one, but I still don't always recommend it. Maybe that's my answer.
I'm genuinely can't think of a book that I started and was like, nope, I'm not gonna read this right now, and then picked back up. I'm sure that there's probably happened, but it has
Yeah.
not happened in so long because now that I'm reading a lot more than I was in my college days.
Hmm.
I know it didn't happen in high school
Yeah.
because I was reading everything. I never didn't finish a book in high school if I picked it up.
Mm.
But now I'm like, I've got too many other books that I want to read
Yeah.
that if it's not, yeah, if it's not consuming my interest, then it doesn't get a second chance, which is probably harsh, but there's too many other things I want to read that I do enjoy. So,
Yeah.
okay. From Magda Biroshik, how do you find time to read with your daily schedule?
This question made me laugh because I was like, Anna should be banned from reading this question because y'all, this is Anna. She's like, I read it. And I'm like, ma'am, no. Because I remember there was a Disney Channel show where they're like, I read a study where if I put a book under my pillow, I knew everything it said. That's you to me. You can answer if you would like, but for me, honestly, audiobooks, which I know not everyone is an audiobook reader, but that's been the easiest way for me to continue to do things that I have to do and some of my responsibilities, but still being able to read. And I have to make sure I get to bed at a point where I'm not super sleepy, but I'm sleepy enough that I want to wind down. Because if I do that, then I'm guaranteed to at least read 2 chapters a night. I would say if I'm reading at a good pace, it takes me a week or a week and a half to get through a book. That's not your reality. So how do you get through stuff?
Well, sometimes it does take that long. It depends on the book. I have a hard rule for myself where I do not allow myself to read until 5 o'clock. Because I'm self-employed and I work from home, I unless I'm taking a sick day, then I don't allow myself to do like video games or reading or anything that I would not consider like a work activity until 5 o'clock because I want to make sure that I like have that time set aside to actually do work. And it just is like a mental state more than anything. So that said, I only read in the evenings except for on the weekends. And I don't really sleep well. I do a lot of staying up until like 1 in the morning if a book
And
is
you read
good.
fast?
I do read quickly. I don't I don't really read more than like 2 books a week. And that's if I'm like reading most nights. So it depends on the pace of the book. I do read a lot on the weekends, um, like 4 or 5 hour stretches at a time. And I am the kind of person that can focus like that for a long amount of time. I know not everyone is like that. It's just how my brain is wired. So that is not sleeping and not really doing anything else at night except for reading.
Hmm.
But I do other things. I play a lot of games. Um, I'm just
I like
saying
that you just wanted to make sure people knew that. By the way,
I
guys,
do
I
have other
do other
interests.
things.
I do other things. I'm not saying that I only read, but on the nights that I read, I'm dedicating like 4 to 5 hours of reading.
Some of you. I like that you gave that warning.
I
Or
just
not
want it to
warning.
be clear that I do other things other than read. Okay. Um, this is from ab.gilzine. I'm really sorry if I'm mispronouncing your your social media handles, guys. Three top favorite genres and recommendations from each. This is like a whole video in and of itself.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know how to answer this one without like taking a
Without
while.
taking the rest of the video, maybe we can compromise and say what our top 3 favorite genres are.
Yeah.
That's my compromise.
Yeah.
I think it's probably obvious that we both really like fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
We read a lot of fantasy. Um, I would say it used to be dystopian for me. Like, but I don't think it is anymore. I had to think on it. That was a genre I ate up. But now we kind of live in a dystopian sometimes. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to like put it aside. So maybe fantasy, probably a realistic fiction, you know?
Mm.
Like, yeah. Maybe graphic novels. Fantasy, realistic fiction, and graphic novels. I love having a quick, happy read, and I want to see how it goes. So,
Yeah. I think mine would be I'm gonna lump fantasy and sci-fi together because they're often like
yeah.
overlapping in a lot of ways. I know that they are technically two separate genres, but a lot of times they get put together. So I'm gonna cheat and say that they're one. Um,
I had that in my mind, so I'm glad you cheated.
um, I also really like mystery. Um, and this is something that I actually don't read a ton of mystery, but I do really like it when it's done well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't believe I'm saying this because 5 years ago I've been like, I will never read horror. That's not for me. No, I love the horror genre. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I really do like horror. I will not watch a horror movie. You cannot pay me money to watch a scary movie. But I really do like scary books.
As you were saying mystery, I was like, I want to read more mystery. Maybe May needs to be mystery month and we need to throw something in there because that's a genre I don't feel like I've read enough of. And I actually I've never read a mystery that I haven't liked because they've been recommended to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've only gotten good mysteries. So maybe ask me next year and maybe I'll swap out something for
Yeah.
mystery. Horror is not for me, so I'm surprised too, but that's okay.
From Lady Jeeper 57, how do you recover the binding on a hardcover book? I'm putting this question out there because it was asked, but also because we don't have an answer for you. I've never recovered a hardcover book, and I will go out of my way to purchase a paperback over a hardback.
I will say, I don't know how to do this, but I've watched a lot of great social media videos that of people doing this. And so if that's something you're curious of, like
There's a
you
lot of
can
people,
find
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And some people have really cool covers that you could buy too.
yeah.
Like, check it out.
Okay, this one is for you, Sabrina. Daily Bugle 404. Have you read Percy Jackson?
Oh, duh. Yeah. I love the Percy Jackson series, and The Last Olympian was so great. The show was not, but that's okay.
Yeah, and
I
you
will
just finished
recover.
rereading the series.
Yeah, I just reread it all. The Last Olympian made me happy. I have hope for season two of the show. I have hope.
Yeah, I read this series as a child, and then read the first book back in December, and I did not continue reading it. It just didn't. I didn't prioritize the rest of the series, and then I got consumed with other things. Same person, Daily Bugle 404 also asks, "What is your favorite book and why?" Which I'm gonna get on my soapbook box for a little bit. I've talked about this before on social media that I don't pick favorite books. I might have authors that are like my instant read authors, and I have books that I really enjoy and really like, and series that I really like and everything. But I really don't like picking favorites because what I like as me right now, I might not enjoy as much in the future, or I may not have enjoyed as much in the past. So my favorite of all time doesn't exist because I'm always changing and growing as a person, and so my taste and interests also change and grow over time. So that's my soapbox answer. Of like, I won't pick a favorite. I will never pick a single favorite.
Yeah, when you sent me some of these questions, I was like, I have no idea how I would answer this. It's not a question that I dislike. Like I But because I've seen how other people, they have that book.
Mm-hmm.
That was their book, and
Right.
it means so much to them. Um, and I believe them. Like they've always enjoyed it. But I haven't had that book, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in too many reading slumps because for a lot of people, it's like, oh, it's the book that got you out of the reading slump. I'm an ocean of weight. Like I'm ocean. I'm constantly on highs and lows for reading, and I couldn't say all my books were um one. So it was a good question. I wish I could have answered it for you, but I appreciate the people who have that one book.
Right. Yeah. Holly F underscore 2018 says, "Will you be reviewing Where the Dark Stands Still?" Which
Heck yeah.
is a book right there. Have you finished it yet?
I have not finished it yet. I'm only a fifth way through. I've had
Oh,
kind of a week.
yeah,
So, but so far I liked it or so far I like it and I've had other people read it and they really, really liked it. So it's not our next video, but it's the one after that.
yeah.
You
It
will
is
have a
on the
review.
schedule.
It's on the schedule and we're both really excited to talk about it.
Yeah. Um, Lilith Nine Writer. Who's the best woman character written by a man you met and why? This question, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by woman character written by a man you met. Um,
It must mean male author.
yeah, I'm gonna say I haven't met any men who have written female characters. Let me rephrase. I've met men authors.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure. Let's just go with the best woman character written by a man. Um, Also a hard question to answer because I don't read a ton of male authors, which is not particularly by choice. It just happens that way that a lot of the things that I'm drawn to are written by women. Um, I do read a lot of Brandon Sanderson, who
I
I
was about to
think
say, what about Brandon Sanderson?
who um, some people have criticized the way that he writes women. I think that I appreciate a lot of his female characters. So I would recommend Brandon Sanderson. I would consider him a safe author as far as like writing women well. Um, I'm trying to I'm like, who else have I read that had main characters that were women that were men who wrote the book?
So,
And I'm
oh,
I'm racking my brain, and I'm sure as soon as we stop recording, I'm going to think of someone. But there are people that I'm like, they did not do women justice. That I will
maybe
not
I've
name because that was not the
chosen
question. But
maybe I've just chosen books well.
yeah,
Because I haven't had one where I'm like, I like a women wouldn't do that. Honestly, I'm looking at my bookshelf and I always talk about this author, but maybe Frederick Bachman.
hmm,
Um,
yeah,
because I really enjoyed Anxious People, and that book has a ton of main characters, and so it's kind of told from different perspectives. But I just remember sweet little old Estelle. If you haven't read the book, she's precious. And I just fell in love with her. And even the woman who robbed the cashless bank, I was interested in by how they were written and I wanted to know what they did. And I felt like all of his characters had a lot of complex issues. So that's my temporary answer based on the book that stood out to me on my bookshelf. Um, because I can't think of another one, but he just writes characters really well.
mm-hmm,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Um, Sorry, my phone. There we go. Jack Mart 01, how many books have you each read and what are your favorites? Okay, we already covered the favorites thing. How many books have you each read? Do you want to say just how many you've read this year? Because if you're asking in total, I have no idea what that number is. I can go to my
Um,
Goodreads, which I'm doing right now, and tell you that I have read 20 books um, this year, and I read 60 something last year, 64, I think.
I have read 15 this year, and last year I read yeah, last year I read 48 because then we decided to read Crescent City at the end. And then the year before that, I read 32. And then the year before that, I read 40. So I hover between the 30 to 50 mark a year. Um,
I'm doing
and
the
I've been doing
math.
that for a while.
Since the start of 2020, I've read 224 books. So in the past 4 years, I've read 224 books. It's
Wow.
way more than that in total, but that's about my when I started tracking things. So
We read a lot.
Okay. Let's see. From Sufficient, who is Saf, my friend.
Hi,
Hey
Saf.
Saf.
I hope you're having fun in Korea.
What's on your TBR list? So many books.
Um,
So many
well, the ones
books.
that are coming up, we
We're
are making videos about. I'm excited
Yeah.
about. Funny
So,
Story by
Funny
Emily
Story by
Henry.
Emily Henry.
Uh-huh.
You're finishing Where the Dark Stands Still.
Yeah.
I already read that, but we will be discussing that one. The Familiar by Lee Bardugo.
Yeah.
We're
That's
gonna be
coming up
talking
for
that
us.
one. What else
Um,
is on our schedule? Like our combined TBR.
those are the top three that we talked about. We are going to continue to read the Throne of Glass series because I've never read it.
A
We talked
Sorceress
about
Comes to
another book.
Call by T.
Yes, The Sorcerer's
Kingfisher.
Comes to Call.
That's not coming out until August, but we're gonna have to talk about that book.
Yeah, we talk about T. Kingfisher so much, but we have yet to do a video with her. Um, for me, What Moves the Dead and What Feasts at Night, because I still haven't read it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would probably say those are the ones to watch out for from us because we're gonna definitely talk about those.
yeah. Where is oh sorry from Megan underscore Matthews. Where is somewhere from a book that you'd love to visit, real or fictional, or real and fictional?
Mm. Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love gosh, I feel like it's not a cop out answer, but it's almost like it almost feels like a Sunday school like Jesus answer for books. Um Being like I would love to go to the Shire because it's both a book world, it's a book place, and it actually exists in New Zealand for the set of the film.
Mm,
So I would love to go to New Zealand and see all of the filming locations specifically
that's
for the
fun.
movies Lord of the Rings. I think that's going to be my answer. Because it is kind of like fictional in that in my head it belongs to these stories, but they are real places where they filmed for the movies. And that book series just was a very large part of my childhood, so there's a lot of nostalgia there as well. But it's also a beautiful country, so
I can't say it was my childhood. I can't even say it's my adulthood, but I've always said I wanted to be a hobbit because I want to eat and drink and not shave. And I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. So I'm just going to piggyback off of your answer because I don't have a good one for myself. And New Zealand is on my to TBV to be visited.
Yeah, it's
Um,
also a fiction. Like when we're thinking about the fictional world of Lord of the Rings, when it comes to fantasy worlds, it's one of the least scary ones to me.
yeah,
Where like not everything is gonna kill me all of the time. There's
right.
dangerous locations, dangerous people. Um, but I feel like a lot of fantasy worlds is like there's a lot of death and destruction happening all over the place, and
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings is like, yeah, that happened, but it got resolved. So if you were in the Shire, well, actually the Shire had its own problems. Anyway, I'll move on from that because I could talk forever about it. Where is your This is also from Megan. What is your perfect book nook slash corner look like? um
Mm, I love,
I'm
go ahead.
go I was just gonna say I don't have the perfect book nook slash corner, so this is gonna be like a fictional place that I would love
Yeah.
to have would be like a room um that has like bookshelves when you first enter, and then it continues on and it becomes like a greenhouse kind of like lots of windows, lots of sunlight that would not like the books are separated so they're not damaged by too much light. Um but like a large seating sofa area with lots of plants and lots of light. That's what I would need or want.
Currently, I'm in a room with lots of plants and lots of light.
Yeah.
Um, but I have always wanted, I had one when I was younger, but a barrel chair, but not like a little teeny tiny barrel chair. I had one that was like huge. Like
Hmm.
you could lounge on it with your feet. I'm doing it like you can see my feet. Your feet all the way up. And you could just sit there and it swivels and it's really nice. So you could curl up on a ball, you could be like in a recliner. So I imagine a huge barrel chair in my reading nook with one of those tables that can slide under it. So I can
Mm.
also like put snacks on it. Um, Probably I've always been a fan of like little fairy string lights. So it wouldn't be super bright. I want a window. I want a window that probably the mountains in the background, but I want twinkle lights. So it's natural light and then low light and my barrel chair and a fuzzy blanket and then books surrounding me, but not to the point where I feel closed in. More
Mm-hmm.
like a you book. Um, that's what I want.
Yep. um, do you from mermaid underscore stuck on land 18? Do you prefer to read series or standalones?
I actually think I would prefer standalones because I think series, I there's too much heartache. Like, are you going to give me a good book? Is it going to be mediocre? What's this cliffhanger going to be? I have to wait forever for the next one. I just think that it's a gamble and you have to wait too long, and I just don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want that life.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same?
I really like series that are finished. But I would prefer a standalone, I think, most of the time.
Okay.
When it's not finished and I have to wait several years in between books, I get impatient. Um, so if I get to pick, I'm picking a standalone.
Yeah.
From Doctor or Dr. Suit 7, go read the Liberation Trilogy and then tell me how you like it on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm sorry, we don't have time to take. We don't have time to go read a series, but we will take it into consideration.
I feel like
Um,
this person has commented on one of our things before telling us to read the series.
okay,
If
so.
you, I believe that this is the case. I have heard you. And I know, and I don't mean that in a mean way, because I'm pretty sure if this is the case, if it's not the case, someone else has recommended this series to us, so
Mm-hmm.
we should take it into consideration. But for the purpose of this video, we can't tell you right now.
Yeah. um, Oh, I'm back to the. I've gone through all of them. I think that's all of them now. Yeah, that was the last one.
Wow.
Somebody
Well,
did. I will say somebody did ask. Ewok Metal Jacket, which also funny username. Have you read the assistant to the villain? I did respond to that comment already with a link to our YouTube video where we discussed our thoughts on assistant to the villain.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Were
I
they saying that they liked it?
They said it was super cute. It was not for us in several ways. I do think I'm going to read the second book when it comes out because I have hope that the things that I had issue with could improve. Um,
I will read it if we do a video on it. And if we don't do a video on it, I will not. Because I know that I still want to read the third book in the Empyrean series, even though you and I both didn't like Iron Flame. I want to give book three a
mm,
chance, and I want us to review that. So, in compromise,
yeah.
I will read book two, An Assistant to the Villain.
The thing that ties those together is they were both published by Red Tower, and I think that books that are published by Red Tower are just not gonna be our cup of tea. Things that we would normally enjoy. Um, and it's just the type of books that they are choosing to publish. Um, Nothing against them or like people enjoying them, that kind of thing. It's just not for us specifically. So
Mhm.
that's kind of the trend I've noticed. I'm not ready to say no, I will never like anything that they do, but so far hasn't been great. So for us.
For us.
For
But we
us.
have other really good books coming up that we're reviewing,
Yes.
so stay tuned. And thank you for all of your questions. That was fun.
Yeah, we'll do
We
this
should do this the
again.
next quarter. We'll do
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Follow us on Instagram. And look out for when we need more questions.
Yeah. And
Like and subscribe.
good job, Anna.